Hey, welcome back to the Coach's Corner. I got Erin Helman back here with me. She was on before when South High was in the midst of the volleyball season. You guys hadn't been going too long, right? Maybe 6 or 7 games in last time we talked. Maybe
I
not
think
even that.
so.
Somewhere
It
around.
may have been a little bit more than
It,
that, but
yeah,
yeah.
it was somewhere around there because it was before Thanksgiving. I remember that because you were getting ready to run the JFK 50 mile, and we'll touch on that a little bit later. But first, let's talk about your South Hagerstown Rebels and your season, what you brought away from that season, what you're looking forward to next year, and we will get all into that. But first, let's just thank the sponsor today. The interview's all brought to you by Community Free Clinic. They're making healthcare accessible to all uninsured citizens of Washington County, Maryland. Your health, their priority. So, priority for you, what would you say would be your goal for next year if you've set one already? What are you planning on building on with your team?
I definitely want to plan on running more plays throughout the season. So really pushing my setters to building a higher volleyball IQ to like push it to different hitters and run different plays just to make us more competitive. I think that's really my biggest priority for this upcoming season and just continuing to build the culture of the South High volleyball program.
Okay. I mean, that's a very good goal to keep in mind for the next season. You guys finished, was it 4-11? Is that correct? Somewhere
I
around that.
believe, yes, it was like
Somewhere
4-10,
around that
I
range.
think, something like that, yeah.
Okay. I mean, a respectable finish for a team that's young. You guys have a lot of young talent on the team this year. I remember you stating there was very little seniors on the team, but you had a lot of young leaders. Who do you expect to return to the team next year?
Definitely my freshmen, Carson Lehman and Tinley Yost, Aubrey Sox. Those are 3 really big key players, young key players. And they're in the midst of club season currently, and they're doing really big things. So I'm excited for them to come up. I'm really excited for our current juniors that will be seniors next year, Malia Moore and Isadora McCarty. Both of them are going to be really big leaders on the team and really help begin building that team culture and really setting the expectations that we built this year into next season. They're going to be really key parts to our team next year.
Malia earned honors in volleyball. She made, don't quote me because I can't remember off the top of my head, it's a couple months ago, but I know she did make one of the all-county teams. Is that correct?
She made one of the all-county teams, and then she made the CMC second team.
Yes, yeah, a great honor.
Yep.
So it sounds like you'll have a good leader in her coming back and a lot of other good young leadership as well. If there was one thing you took away from this past season as the head coach over at South High for the volleyball team, or what stands out to you, what would that one thing be?
To just go with it. Like, things are not always going to be perfect. You just got to go with it, and you just got to keep smiling and trying to be as positive as you possibly can, even when people around you might not be. Like, you just kind of like got to like zone it out and just focus in on the game. I think that's really one takeaway I've taken from this season is just focusing on the goals, focusing on the team, and not the outside aspect of it.
And I mean, that's life in a nutshell right there. And if you approach the game the same way that you approach life, as long as you're approaching it that way, you should be set. And I think it's one thing you kind of hope to teach your athletes too. Things aren't always going to go their way. You're not always going to win. And it's how you handle that and you take it. And that's what makes you a better athlete and a better person.
Absolutely.
I feel like that's always what we turn back to when we're talking about high school sports, being a better person, which is great, and that's the goal. But it's just funny how everything brings you back full circle to that.
You're not going to be an athlete forever, so you might as well teach your athletes life skills.
Exactly. Even if you make it professionally, you won't be an athlete forever. So, you got to do something after life after sports.
Right. You still got to be a good person. I mean,
well, unless you're Tom Brady and you got enough money to do nothing. So there was 4 Washington County teams that made it to the state finals this past season, one of them being your former school that you played at for a little bit, Williamsport. So I have 2 questions for you. The first one, did you travel to the state final game to watch Williamsport play?
I did. I was there for 2 sets of their game. Yeah, 2 sets. I watched the Clear Spring versus Boonesboro game. That was a phenomenal game. Definitely was not like I was expecting like what I saw, but like it just was like rally after rally. Like it was just very intense. So
right, like it could have been either one. I mean,
it could have been either one.
Favorite,
I just
right?
yeah, I just thought it would go to 5 sets rather than I think it was 3 it finished in.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But I mean, kudos to both teams. Like they really represented Washington County in a very positive way, and they definitely have shown how a volleyball program culturally should be. With Boonesboro, Clear Spring, and Williamsport, and North High, like all 4 of those teams have definitely shown how to culturally build a team, and I hope to install that within South High.
Well, that's the next question I was going to ask you. What is one thing that you were going to take away possibly from, those coaches or teams that you want to implement next year? So that's the one thing you're looking forward to putting into your program as well. Is there anything else that you took away from them?
Just high expectations. Like I really want to hold my girls to a very high expectation. I did this year, but like even more next year, I really just want to hold them at high expectations and just keep rolling with it, like conditioning and running more plays. Like I said, like building that culture. Like it takes time to build a culture. Like I know whenever I was a Wildcat, we built like the culture was already there. Like it just was already there. So building that culture to like set teams up in the future for success, to have that, like it's gonna take time, but I'm very excited to see what evolves from now and future years.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's an exciting thing for you because you get to be the person that starts that. There was somebody that started that at Williamsport, like you said. So you get to be the cornerstone of that, or at least one of the cornerstones that gets to begin that. We'll call it a dynasty. Yeah, I would say that's kind of what Williamsport and North and South and all them, or excuse me, Smithsburg and all them are, and Boonesboro. But so the high school volleyball community obviously is very tight knit. Do you guys like talk a lot in the off season, or are you good friends with any of the other coaches?
I am really good friends with the North High volleyball coach.
Okay.
I'm
Lacey,
also
right?
Lacey.
Yeah.
I love her. She's
We went to
awesome.
school together. Yeah.
Oh, did you? Okay. Yeah, she's awesome. We hang out outside of school, and I always ask her for advice, especially because North High is a very successful program. But she's just a really good friend of mine. And then Shelby Wallance. She was one of the first ones between her and Lacey, but she was like one of the first ones who reached out to me and was like, "Hey, congratulations on getting the head coach job. I am here if you need anything."
Cool.
And she has been like my backbone this season. Like if I needed to rant or if I needed to vent, like, or if I just needed to cry, because believe it or not, some coaches can cry. And I just need to like get through stuff. She was like one that I could definitely talk to, and it was really easy to talk to her and relate to her as well because she's a 6th grade math teacher just at a different school. So it was like really easy to talk to her and just cool. I mean, we played like adult league together this past fall season. Yeah, it was during the fall. So yeah. But besides that, those are probably my 2 close coaches that I'm really, I guess not good friends. Well, good friends, but friends.
Right.
So yeah.
Did you play volleyball with Lacey at Williamsport?
I did not. She was, I don't know what year she graduated.
Yeah, but she was younger than me, and I was 2005, so I would say a few years after me. I didn't know I couldn't remember when you'd said you'd graduated. But you were talking about your players playing at club level in the off season. Do you have any off season workouts that you guys do at the school, or is it strictly just that club volleyball while the high school season's not happening?
Currently, I'm not doing any off season workouts. I hope to start that up in May. But with like basketball right now, it's cold outside, so we can't really do too much. We could get in the weight room, but other sports utilize that right now. So my girls right now are just primarily focusing on club. Not all of them. Some of them just need the break, and they wanted to focus on some other things currently. But I plan to start the conditioning and off-season practice in like end of April, beginning of May.
Okay. What kind of workouts do you guys do when you start those off-season practices and sessions?
We do a lot of like just conditioning programs. We also do like injury prevention stuff. So like to prevent shoulder injuries, to prevent knee injuries, like ACL. We do a lot of just weightlifting stuff and working on that agility so that way we can work on getting our speed up and getting to the ball quicker and moving laterally forward and backward and side to side like a lot more better, I guess, like just better movement.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of that. I do make my girls run the mile. We build up to that because a lot of the girls just aren't like they're not runners. I mean, everybody's a runner, but not like some of them just mentally they struggle. Like they're like, I don't know how to run. I can't run. The mile's too long. So I try to like build them where we do like 2 laps to start out with for like the first week, and then we just keep building from there. So that's a really nice thing. I also like it's installed in my head. Coach Crabtree, I was in 8th grade and she was the varsity coach at the time, and she told us whenever we would do our summer, it was like spring workout, she'd say, if you cannot run for 10 minutes straight, you are not meant to play volleyball. So that is something that I tell my girls all the time because that's something that like motivated me and it made me like push myself harder. And I was just like, okay, like if I can't run for 10 minutes, like obviously I need to work harder. So that was something I always told my girls. And that honestly was a big pusher for them this year. I was like, if you could not run for 10 minutes, like you need to do something. Like you need to talk to me. You need to figure out like what is the issue because you should be at least able to move your body for 10 minutes.
Right, exactly.
And it's definitely working on the mental side of the conditioning aspect.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. A lot of the high school players that come in and need to run that mile because that's almost a prerequisite for I think any sport, maybe except baseball and softball because you don't really run in baseball and softball unless you run the bases. But I know when I played soccer, we had to run a mile or 2 miles, whatever it was, in a certain amount of time. But it's more of a mental. Do you find that it's more of a mental block than it is a physical block for most of your athletes because they don't realize when they're out there running on the court that you're basically doing the same thing with a couple breaks here and there.
Yeah.
And it's just running the mile or whatever you're set to do is just continuously doing it. Do you find it's more mental than physical for them? And once they get past that mental block, does everything become easier?
I think it's more mental than physical. I just think that's something that we have to definitely work on. It's just the mentality of the game. And I mean, like, you have to have the mental aspect. And I remember last time I told you, like, my girls really struggle mentally, and we are really working hard to get to a better positive mindset rather than a negative.
Yeah. And that's great to do as well. And not because the physical part is only half of the game, and the mental aspect and keeping your, head on straight and keeping your grades up. There's lots of things for a high school athlete and it can be tough. So it's cool for the girls to have a coach that focuses on that too. So great job on that. So it's fitting that we're talking about running because when we come back next on the Coach's Corner, we are going to talk about your experience in, okay, I'm going to get this right, the JFK 50 mile, right?
Yes.
Okay, not the miler. The 50 mile.
Just the 50 mile.
I called it miler last time for a lot. But yeah, for those of you that don't know, if you didn't catch the last episode, Erin did her first JFK 50 mile race it was in November, right? Yep. And she ran that race and she survived. So we're going to talk about that next coming up.